and welcome back to the Nostalgic Futurist podcast. Today, I want to go over what the new stay-at-home order means in California as it relates to downtown Disney, Buena Vista Street, and even Knott's Taste of Mary Farm and things like that. So this is supposed to be the strictest stay-at-home order that we've seen yet. And I've been looking for information about what Disney is going to do about this, and not much information has come forward considering we're not technically in the stay-at-home order yet. So the way the stay-at-home order works is that the state of California has been broken up into these 5 big chunks. And instead of looking at the tier system, which is what we've been under for, I don't even know how long anymore, several months, you're going to be looking at the chunks of California and how many ICU beds they have left. Well, what percentage of them are still not filled. So the way it's looking right now is pretty much all the chunks are staying between 18% and 25%. When they go below 15%, that's when the stay-at-home order will go into effect. It's a 3-week stay-at-home order. And the one little caveat that wasn't exactly explained in his news report, but was something I found by reading it later on the website, is that it's a 3-week stay-at-home order. But then after your 3 weeks, if your ICU bed percentage has not gone up, then you are going to stay in that stay-at-home order for as long as it takes for you to go back up above that number. I don't know if that restarts another 3 weeks or they'll just keep assessing it on a weekly basis after the 3-week period is over. So this means that based on this, if it is true that flu season is going to make COVID even bigger than it is right now, because flu season extends all the way through January and February, does that mean that we could see Southern California, which is a huge chunk and has a bunch of major California cities in it, stay under that stay-at-home order for 2-3 months? And what is that going to mean for downtown Disney and Taste of Knott's and everything else that all these businesses for theme parks are trying to rebuild during this really difficult time? All right, so we're going to start first with talking about where does Orange County fall into the state, and kind of just look at the chunks of the state and how they're kind of weirdly balanced. So starting with looking at the map, of course, Orange County is in Southern California. That makes sense. Now, as someone who doesn't technically live in Southern California, and now my county that I live in is now in Southern California, it's kind of weird because I live near a bunch of not large cities, but fairly big cities in California, and they're not Southern California, but they've been lumped in with Southern California. So the Southern California section includes all the way north to San Luis Obispo, all the way south to San Diego, and then up the other side of the state through the desert into the mountains. So that's a pretty big chunk, and including the fact that they have Los Angeles in there, Los Angeles has the worst numbers in the state. So automatically that Southern California chunk is always going to be behind all the other chunks because they've got LA. Now the weird thing is when you look at the ICU capacity numbers currently as of December 3rd, so yesterday, it looks like Southern California is actually right in the middle. But I have a feeling that that's going to plummet because it's a big section of the state. Now, I will say that I think it is a little weird how it's also broken up because Southern California has Los Angeles, Ventura, and Oxnard, Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, Santa Maria, San Diego, and all the little cities that are between LA and going south to San Diego. That's a lot of people. But then the Bay Area basically just has San Francisco, and the greater Sacramento area kind of has Sacramento and Stockton. So I feel like they're a little unbalanced when I look at them because I feel like the Southern California chunk is so screwed over by the fact that they have LA and they've added counties in there that aren't technically Southern California. Now, we're going to go on to also look a little bit more at what the order specifically says. So it's called the Regional Stay-at-Home Order. It was announced on December 3rd, 2020, and it goes into effect within 24 hours in regions with less than 15% ICU availability. It prohibits private gatherings of any size, closes sector operations except for critical infrastructure and retail, and requires 100% masking and physical distancing in all others. The order will remain in effect at least 3 weeks, and after that period it will be lifted when a region's projected ICU capacity meets or exceeds 15%. Great. So what he specifically mentioned in his actual, Gavin Newsom's actual report to everybody yesterday, was he said that basically this is closing indoor and outdoor dining, which indoor dining was already taken away from most counties. It takes away wine tasting, bars, anything like that. But what I thought was weird is he didn't specifically mention a lot of the things that were specifically mentioned to be taken away last time we were put in a stay-at-home order, like gyms. And he also, later, if you read more of the articles, you can go and you can find that he said also this applies to zoos, it applies to aquariums, museums. So the question is, if that is what's closing down, where does downtown Disney and Knott's Merry Farm and all of that stuff fall? Where does it fall in this idea of movie theaters are closed again, hotels are closed again, but yet it says retail can stay open at 20% capacity. Well, currently downtown Disney is at 25% capacity. But here's the weird thing. If you go back to the actual stay-at-home order, it says it closes sector operations except for critical infrastructure and retail. Does that critical apply to the infrastructure only, or does it apply to retail as well? So critical retail would be like pharmacies and grocery stores and things that you have to have open so that people can survive. But the problem is that downtown Disney, we don't need downtown Disney to survive. I mean, some of us do, but technically, I don't think the state of California thinks anyone does. So is that saying that all retail is closing that's not a grocery store? Because that's what the first stay-at-home order was. Or are we going to keep retail open? It's right before Christmas. It's a holiday season where people are constantly shopping for gifts. And with the fact that the mail system and Amazon and everybody is clogged down with Black Friday and clogged down with a bunch of other orders that are coming in, does that mean that this is going to allow retail to stay open so that there's less pressure on those systems? Or does it not care and all those businesses have to close down as well as the restaurants? So, I mean, technically restaurants can stay open if they do curbside pickup, takeout, whatever. But downtown Disney, they're not really restaurants built for that. Because even if you go and get a bag of beignets at the Jazz Express, you're probably gonna go sit down on the bench across the way if they just take out the tables. And does that count as takeout? So what is takeout? Takeout to me is usually food that you go and get and you take home, or you eat in the car, like going through a drive-through at In-N-Out. But where does Knott's Taste of Merry Farm and Downtown Disney fall on that scale? It'd be really hard to go to the Jazz Kitchen and get a bowl of jambalaya and take that home. But you could technically get it and then go sit on the bench across the way and eat it. But then isn't that going to promote too many people sitting on the benches, loitering around, maybe even walking with their masks down to eat, which is against Disney policy? I think this puts Disney in a really tough place because they're probably going to have to contact the governor and his staff themselves, because how are they supposed to know where they fall? Because right now they're technically a shopping center, but they're not a mall. Because they're not an indoor mall, they're an outdoor mall. So where does that fall on this? I know it says that a lot of indoor stuff's supposed to close. So does that mean you can't go shopping inside the World of Disney? even if it's at 20% capacity? Where does this fall on all of that? So there's another part of this I want to talk about. They said that they are banning all non-essential travel. It's no longer like Thanksgiving where they were like, hey, please, please, please don't go visit your extended family in Utah and then come back to California and bring your germs back. No, this time under the stay-at-home order, non-essential travel is banned. What is non-essential travel? Now, when I think about non-essential travel, I would think anytime you're not traveling for a job that has to be done, a family emergency, a personal emergency, something like that. Does that mean that I can't go drive 2 hours away to go get takeout at a restaurant I like and drive home? Because that's kind of the equivalent of why I would drive to downtown Disney. Is that considered non-essential travel? I feel like it is, because I don't have to go to downtown Disney. I really feel like I need to and have to, but technically probably don't. Or is this non-essential traveling talking about leaving the state? Is that more of the problem? Is it more about, hey, don't go spend Christmas in Iowa because their numbers are different from us and you might bring back COVID because you didn't know that Uncle Jerry had it and he wasn't showing symptoms. Dr. Galley did say, when he was talking about the travel advisory, he said, we have had a travel advisory since really a little bit before the Thanksgiving holiday, leading up to these important weeks when people expect to move around and travel either by air or by car. We're asking people then to consider canceling their travel plans now as part of the regional stay-at-home order. When a region does cross the threshold and the order is in place, we're actually asking you to restrict that travel, cancel plans, and make sure that you stay at home. That's what we're asking you to do. We're asking people to be at home and not mix and move. That sounds like don't go anywhere. So, what does that do to downtown Disney and Knott's and Universal City Walk? All of a sudden, they lose all the people who were gonna drive the hour and a half, even the 3 to 5 hours, just to go spend a day walking around downtown Disney, getting some food at Taste of Knott's, or going to get some butterbeer at Universal City Walk. That means that only locals can now technically go to downtown Disney. But it raises the next question. Is driving 10 minutes to go to downtown Disney unnecessary travel? And by this definition, it sounds like yes. They don't want you to mix and move. How do they enforce this? Well, it's hard for them to enforce it if you're in your house and you have people over. It's harder to enforce that than to just say, downtown Disney, you cannot be open because you have non-essential retail, your restaurants can't afford to really do the takeout, it won't work, and all non-essential travel is banned and you are a place where people mix and move. That doesn't sound good. I like to think that there's maybe some way in there that Disney can negotiate a way to keep downtown Disney open. Hey, we'll even reduce our indoor shopping to 15%. We'll let less people into downtown Disney, period. We'll make sure that the only food open is for takeout, close all our benches, nowhere to sit. But I don't know if that's enough. I don't know that the state of California is going to think that's enough. And yes, I think downtown Disney will be busy this Christmas season if it remains open because a lot of people can't have the regular Disney magic, but they can go to downtown Disney and find some great holiday gifts for family and friends while they're there and enjoy, a beignet or two. It puts a lot of that in jeopardy, especially because it is expected that the majority of the state will go into this stay-at-home order today, tomorrow, Sunday, any day now, which leaves a lot of businesses questioning, am I going to be open tomorrow? Am I going to have time to order the things I need, or should I not bother to order stuff because I'm going to be closed? it's kind of a really precarious situation this week. And as somebody who had holiday plans to go to Downtown Disney and a Taste of Knott's, Merry Farm, it doesn't look like I'm going to get to go. And that's hard. Whew, that got dark real fast. Let's also just talk about what Gavin Newsom said yesterday as I don't even know what to call it, as a way of keeping your mental health up. He talked about going to the park, going to the beach, going for a run, doing yoga outside, that kind of stuff. But what I thought was weird about that was, I remember back at the beginning of all of this, everyone was told, don't go to the beach. Don't go to the national parks. Don't go to the park. No, stay away from everybody. Don't clog up the towns that have these places in them. But now it seems weird that the advice is go to the beach, go to the park. If that's okay, and you're gonna be around other people, trust me, I live near a beach. There's always people. They're always nearby. And because it's the beach, no one wears a mask. I walk down there a lot and people literally just walk around because they're outside. They're like, I don't need a mask. I'm not sure that that's better handled because it's a beach and it's like public property versus Disney, who can control how many people go in, how close people are to each other, and that they have to wear a mask. I just feel like it's a little bit of oversight. Just as somebody who lives at a place that people want to go vacation at. When you're at Disney, you're forced to comply, but at the beach, you're not. So I just thought that part was weird, and that was the focus of the mental health statement. When a lot of people are struggling with mental health things because they've lost work, they've lost income, they've lost family, and also people have lost something to live for. And that sounds really dramatic. It's kind of hard when it feels like everything is constantly being taken away from you. And every time you feel like you've made a step forward or you have something to look forward to, you have some hope, it gets just yanked away because of how either what the virus is doing or how it's being handled. All this to say, I just think that as somebody who loves and needs and wants Disneyland and loves theme parks and loves the escapism, in a year where escapism is not possible, it would be really great if they could find some way to make sure that Knott's and Downtown Disney can stay open and continue to employ those cast members and staff people and everybody so that those people have jobs, have income, have a way of making sure that this holiday season they don't go hungry. It's just hard to think about both sides of the coin. I want to thank you all for joining me on this roller coaster of an episode. I really wanted to spend some time talking this over and about the implications of what this could mean, how long this could go on for, because it's basically an indefinite stay-at-home order. And my mom was like, hey, when this is all over, we should go to Disneyland for my birthday. Her birthday's in April. I don't think Disneyland will be open then. Hope to see you in 2 more weeks with hopefully better news.